I'm a banker, so for something completely different than the last talk. And really, I want to pick up on the remarks I made earlier that some of you heard. And I want to offer what I am fond of calling a frame condition, or a way to think about the work that we're all engaged in here. The long pole in the tent today is capital. There are a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas, a lot of things being done. Without the capital to finance this work, the work won't happen. Some of us have been at this for quite some time and can attest to that. And in order to attract capital, we have to offer a return. That's how money works. We can debate that another day. Is it right? Is it wrong? Not my job. I can just tell you how it works. And it follows return, which means the projects we do have to be economic, or they simply won't occur. Now, we've had an anomaly that's actually been more rather than less interesting around this, where because of the financial crisis, the government said, we don't care if it's economical, we need to spend a bunch of money. But what's happened as a result is people have said, wow, that's an enormous amount of money. We can do things very differently than we ever thought about it before. How many of you here know what Tesla Motors is? Okay, so we are the largest venture investor in Tesla Motors, after Elon Musk, who put in more money, but is not a VC. And we were thrilled that they got $500 million. It's a great thing, it's fine. But that's an anomaly, let's be clear. That's never gonna happen again. For that kind of money to move, it's got to attract a return. Here's the good news. We have, in my view, every bit of technology we need today finished to do this job, and that can be economical. How many of you would agree with me? Bright Source Energy, 9 gigawatts of contracts contracted from PG&E in Southern California, Edison. All right? 9 gigawatts, it's a start. But certainly, if we're at 2020 looking back and we want to talk about scale, that's a good start, 9 gigawatts. It's economical today. I can take photovoltaics and put them up in places today that are either very sunny or that have a peak power problem, and islanded grids, and that PV is economical today. So we have to attract capital at scale, big money. This is going to cost a lot of money. So as we think about the things we want to do, we would challenge ourselves to say, can the things we're speaking about scale? I was involved years ago with friends who wanted to collect fat from McDonald's and reprocess it into biofuel. It's exciting and it's cool and it's a good idea, but we're not really going to solve the liquid fuels problem around that. ExxonMobil is a big company, right? How big do you think their market share is in liquid fuels? Throw out some numbers. Exxon market share. Yeah, the people who sat with me at lunch. 3% is the right number, okay? So when a company the size of ExxonMobil has a 3% market share, you see the size of the problem. We're not going to get there by taking fat out of the fryers at McDonald's. And therefore, the capital that has to move behind this is enormous. What do? The finance community gets this, make no mistake. Unfortunately, not that well yet in the United States, but in other places, the finance community gets this. The trick for us, the kind of people that I believe are in this room, is actually to dig a little deeper, to write another letter to your senator, as the last speaker said, but to do something else. Here's the way I see the challenge. We have got to add a component in anything we put forward that says, challenging ourselves, how does this become economical to people who don't want to factor in climate change, who don't want to modify consumer behavior, who don't want to send you to Whole Foods because it's the right thing to do, who don't want to donate on the shopping line by bringing a bag, who just want to buy power, and they're not going to pay any more, full stop. How do we make this appeal to people who just want to pay the same thing they pay today? They're willing to do the right thing, but they don't want to pay any more money. When we think about that, when we think about projects that we can implement today along those lines, we begin to unlock something very potent, which is the capital that will then be required to come in and begin to build out these projects. So I don't have a lot of time, and I mean, we can talk more about the complexity around this. It isn't going to be easy, but as we vision the future, or perhaps backcast from 2020 and think about how we got here, if we lose sight of the fact that it is capital formation that will define our future, and we don't want to look back in 2020 and say, well, the United States ended up following the French model. We're now 93% nuclear because that's where the capital went, and that's how the solution got solved, and at least we don't emit all that CO2. It's going to be incumbent upon us to think about how we draw capital further into this discussion. I would leave you with the thought that I personally believe this is ready to occur, that people are happy to invest in this sector and in this work. All they need to be shown is how those capital flows can occur in a market-relevant way. I leave you with that. Thank you very much.